For 17 years, this mission has provided care and support for individuals with neurological conditions who otherwise would not have had access to these resources. When I learned about this mission, it immediately connected with my personal experience. I thought about my aunt and how different her life might be without access to care and the equipment that she has now. That made me realize how important it is to extend that same level of support to others around the world. Through the Lift Life Foundation, my goal is to support both individuals and caregivers by providing resources, raising awareness, and working toward better support systems. As part of this effort, I launched a collection drive across Central Florida just a couple weeks ago called Giving the Gift of Mobility. We're currently collecting AFOs, SMOs, and knee braces, refurbishing them, and bringing them to Jamaica in May, or later in May, to help children and adults who otherwise would not have had access to these life-changing devices. To make this possible, I placed collection bins in 10 orthotic clinics across Central Florida, including Hanger Clinic, ABC Prosthetics, Nemours Children's Hospital, and several other practices. Through this effort, we've collected about 60 pairs of each brace. I've also been fortunate to have support from my Scout Troop 7148, whose scouts volunteered their time to help with the refurbishment process. We held our first refurbishment day just a couple weeks ago, and our second refurbishment day is May 16th, where we will continue preparing these devices to be sent to Jamaica. To many of us, these may seem like simple items, but to someone in need, they can completely transform daily life. A brace can help someone stand, walk, and gain independence. This mission is not just about donating equipment, it's about restoring dignity, confidence, and opportunity. And this is only the beginning. My goal is to continue growing this effort into something sustainable. In the future, I hope to research and help develop more affordable solutions like 3D printed wheelchairs and assistive devices that can be made in Jamaica. I truly believe that where you live should not determine your access to mobility, care, or opportunity. And that's why I'm here today. Because while this mission is in Jamaica, it starts right here in our community. Really quick, I would also like to take a moment to sincerely thank Mrs. Sandra Family Hall and the United Foundation for giving me this opportunity to speak today. I'm truly grateful for her encouragement and for creating a platform where young people like me are empowered to dream big, take action, and make a difference. I'm asking for your support today. Whether it's helping us collect equipment, spreading awareness, partnering with us, or supporting this effort in any way you can. Even small contributions can create meaningful change. At the end of the day, this is about more than a trip. It's about giving people the ability to move, to live independently, and to experience life with dignity. Mobility is more than movement, it's freedom. And together, it's our job to help give that freedom to others. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you have a nice day.
Yes, I am coming to Jamaica on your mission.
My friend, and who I believe is also a history maker, the youngest president of this amazing organization. It means something. I think we need more young people involved in leadership and civic activity, and so it's a blessing to do this work, not in front of you, not behind you, but alongside you. And so we're really proud to present to you with a congressional certificate. This is in recognition of 50 years of the official incorporation with the state of Florida and 54-year anniversary as a volunteer community organization.
Thank you so much, Congressman Frost. Next, we're going to have our Senator, LaVon Bracy Davis. And this is special when an elected official takes less than 2 minutes. I love it.
Well, good evening, Pine Hill. Good evening. What a delight to be here. I am fresh from Tallahassee. I am fresh from Tallahassee, getting the work done and being your voice in Tallahassee. As I always say when I come to visit you, it is indeed an honor to be your voice and to champion your causes and your issues in Tallahassee. I say this to you every time I speak. When I go to Tallahassee, I take you with me. I take Pine Hills with me. I take the community council with me. I take your issues, your celebrations, your problems, your concerns. I take it with me, and I legislate through the lens of the things that you are dealing with. So I consider it an honor to be able to continue to serve Pine Hill. And I'm not going to read my full proclamation, because not only do politicians talk a lot, but we can be wordy as well, even when we write. But I will say this, the last couple lines of the proclamation is, whereas the state of Florida and I acknowledge the importance of volunteer leaders who work to preserve civically engaged social consciousness, clean, safe, and prosperous communities like Pine Hill. Now by the power vested in me, as a member of the 128th session of the Florida Senate, be it respectfully proclaimed that it is a distinct privilege to recognize and honor the Pine Hills Community Council and their contributions to our economy and to our communities with a continued impact to Central Florida. Signed, Lavon Gracie Davis, Florida Senator, District 15. Thank you.
If you're an elected official in the room, please stand to be recognized. I will also take the time, in the essence of time, if you are running for office, please stand as well and just wave. Greatly appreciate it. And now I'm going to turn the microphone over to State Representative Ray Sean Young. You did it.
Okay, we have a quick adjustment, ladies and gentlemen. So in addition to the proclamation that Representative Young has, he is here to also give us a brief legislative update. And so he will provide that to you along with his recognition. Thank you so much, Romeo.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. It's good to be back home. As Senator Gracie Davis said, we have been fighting the good fight and waving the bloodstained banner for all of our constituents in Tallahassee over the last 5 months. Now, that is contrary to what the Constitution says and how long the Constitution says we're supposed to be in Tallahassee. It says January through March. For 60 days, we are supposed to be in Tallahassee. But as many of you, I'm sure, know, we have, in the legislature, not achieved any of the things that people are asking us to. When families are calling us for aid and fixing the affordability crisis that's plaguing our communities, when we are experiencing rents that are tearing families apart, when we are experiencing, quite frankly, taxes that are pushing legacy families that have called this community home for so long out of this state. While we could have decided to do all of those things, while we could have shown up to pass the budget, which is really one of our main priorities as state legislators, we have failed to do that. But what they have done is they have redistricted illegally. My colleagues on the other side have pushed harmful voting rights legislation that is stripping away access to the ballot box. What they have done is build barriers for people to express their civic duty in our elections. What they have done is ensure that they fearmonger people into, very abusive policies that don't speak toward the issues that people are experiencing in the state. However, what we were supposed to do in March, we have not achieved. But you have people who are still fighting. I relate, and I get this from Senator Bracy Davis, the work that we do a lot of the times like being on a basketball court. Sometimes it is our responsibility and our job to be on the offense, to pass positive policy that is people-centered, that helps us move our communities in the right direction. And the other times, our job is to play defense, to stop really bad things from happening, and we have done that. The one thing that I've learned in the 7 months since being elected and being in Tallahassee, being in the legislature, is that this fight is bigger than any of us who sit in those seats. Yeah. This fight is bigger than even this community, that it is really the fight for democracy as we are watching the dismantling of it before our eyes. As we are watching civility be dismissed in the midst of a political climate that is tearing our communities apart, that is building barriers as opposed to building bridges. But there's a lot of work for us to do. The only way that we pivot, the only way that we navigate our way out of what we are experiencing right now is by ensuring that we serve as bridge builders. And we take and use the agency and license that we have as people who are civically engaged, people who have the right and who continue to stand on the shoulders of those who have fought for so long. It is our responsibility to make sure. So I'm just going to hop really quickly into the things that we are experiencing in Tallahassee. As you all know, last Wednesday, the legislature passed illegal, unconstitutional gerrymandered maps. And these maps dilute the voices, especially in communities like ours here in Pine Hills. And especially on the heels of what we saw in the recent court decision, we are watching protections that people fought and died for be stripped away. Some people say that doesn't affect them. And I think sometimes, especially here in Orange County, we live in our blue bubble, and as those who are represented well and served well in all levels of government, but it is skewed. There's a skewed reality of what this state represents. And while I don't want to get into the partisanship of this, the maps are illegal. And Congressman Frost, I want to thank him and the work that he did today in leading a press conference. And Jasmine Burley Clark, the founder of Eagle Ground Action Fund, she said something so important. She said 86% of the representation will be represented by people who only make up 41% of this state. And so I implore us all to think through, if our votes didn't matter, then why are they working so hard to get rid of them? Yeah. If our voice didn't count, why are they working so hard to make sure that we are not heard? Yeah. And so these maps are not just political, they are intentional. They set a dangerous precedent, because if it can be done now, it can be done again, and it can be done worse. I want us to understand something, that there are times in this country when voting wasn't even considered a right for people of color. They told us we weren't whole. And when we fought and bled and died and finally got the right to vote, they played in our face with poll taxes and literacy tests. And when we broke through that, they found new ways. They started intimidation, and violence, and suppression to keep us from the ballot box. And when we organized and marched and demanded justice, we got the Voting Rights Act, and for a moment it felt like progress had finally caught up with the promise. But then they started chipping away at it piece by piece, decision by decision. And then came the ruling that weakened federal protections, taking away the very tools that were designed to stop discrimination before it happened. And now we are watching it happen again. Different language, different strategy, but the same spirit. Maps drawn not to reflect the people, but to control the outcome. And while I may not know the slave master, I heard this from a friend of mine. I know the grandchildren. While Jim Crow didn't disappear, it just adapted. Racism didn't go away, it just changed its appearance. It traded the hood for suits and ties. They traded in the ropes for policies and procedures. They traded in the signs on the door for lines on a map. And now we need to be loud. We need to get up and say enough is enough, and we will not be silenced any longer. So the reality that we're facing is that nobody is coming to save us. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. And so we have to make sure that we take the agency and license to shift the paradigm of what's possible in our community. So redistricting is happening. We are going back next week, hopefully to pass a budget, but we really don't know what's going to happen around that because we have heard things time and time again. Yet we still see our governor and the Speaker of the House and the Senate President fighting over what they want their legacy to be as opposed to listening to the rights of the people. So I'll close on this. I have to talk about property tax because there are a lot of misconceptions and myths around what property tax and the dismissal and getting rid of property tax will do for people in this community. It sounds good on paper. It sounds good on the surface, but the truth is, if you eliminate property tax, you shift the burden to the people. And so we are going to experience sale taxes rising like we have never seen them before. We are going to be losing services that our municipalities supply, like Meals on Wheels and our libraries and trash pickup and dispatch, which is not a protected part of the sales tax provisions. And so I want you all to, if you leave with nothing, leave with an understanding that we have to do our own education on issues that the legislature is passing, because there is a lot of hurt that these people who are passing these policies right now, they're going to pass them and then they're going to float away and go to their houses and they're going to, focus on what their next is going to be. And they'll take credit for it right now. They'll take credit for it in 2026. But when we start feeling the hurt and the harm from these policies, they're going to be away in the sunset. And so please do your own education on the issues that are impacting us. And know that we are still fighting. You still have fighters for you on the federal and the state and the local level who care and take into consideration the things that you are doing. And so as I head to my seat, know that we appreciate and need you to send all the good energy you've got because we are still in this fight and we are not done. And I want to thank you for the work that you have done. I want to thank you all for the work that this community council continues to do in this community. And I want to thank you all for showing up and choosing every day to choose hope in the midst of all of this dismay that we are experiencing. Thank you all, and God bless.
Okay, thank you so much, Representative Young, for your legislative debrief. Representative Young does have an accommodation. You will not read it now. We also were presented with a proclamation from Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings and a declaration from Orange County Commissioner for District 6, Mike Scott. So thank you so much. For the essence of time, we will move the agenda. I would like to ask our treasurer and secretary to please come up at this time. Our treasurer is Mrs. Lola Battle. Our secretary is Ms. Janae McKissick. And we will go through that real quick. Move over the slide. Keep going. We're going to do that very, very quickly. We just need to get approved. Keep going.
Good evening, everyone. The treasurer's report is as follows. The parade account financial report for the period of April 1st through April 30th. The account reflected a beginning balance of $824.35 with $0 in deposits and expenses, resulting in an ending balance of $824.35. The account remains in good standing and reconciles fully with the bank statement. The general account for April 1st, 2006 through April 30th, 2006, the account reflected a beginning balance of $5,576.23. Total deposits, $2,914.31. Total expenses, $596.26, resulting in an ending balance of $7,894.28. The deposits also included funds received through a third-party platform, which Assessed processing fees of 69 cents that were deducted prior to deposit. Expenses totaled $596.26. And the transactions during the period were conducted electronically and by check. Monthly service fees were waived for the period. No irregular, unapproved, or undocumented transactions were identified. The ending balance of $7,800.94, $7,894.28 reconciles fully with the official bank, and the account remains in good standing.
I will entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Ms. Jody, second by Ken. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, that has been properly moved and second.
Good evening. We're going to be brief, looking through our meeting minutes from April. I know it's a little small, but if you have the ability, please look through very quickly, please. We're gonna go ahead. Can I get a motion to approve meeting minutes? Ms. Deidre, do I have a second? Mr. Ken, thank you. Yeah, all who approve, please signify by saying aye. Perfect, thank you.
Orange County Sheriff's Office, please. Very briefly, give us a report, please, on Sector 1. Can we, Lieutenant Ryan Donovan? All right. And then we'll go into why you all are here. But before Lieutenant Donovan gives his report, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge my family in the room. My mother, please stand. My mother, my grandparents, and my stepmother. My mother and my stepmother have gotten on the road all the way from Missouri to be here tonight. So please give them a round of applause as they do this on this occasion.
First off, I understand this is the 50th anniversary of your organization, so congratulations to you all. That's truly a testament to your commitment to the community, and we sincerely appreciate that from the Sheriff's Office. Just to go over our stats for the Sector 1 area, overall, it's massive green, which is great. It's a crime reduction across the board in almost every single category, and almost every single category is in double-digit reduction. So we're very happy to see that. We always contribute that to the engagement of the community and you all helping us out there. So without wasting your time too much, it's just great news for everybody. A very strong reduction in crime across the board. Do you have any questions for me?
All right, no questions. Any questions? No questions?
Perfect. Thank you all. Yes.
All right, so now we are into the portion that you all are waiting for. So, please make your way to the stage. Randy Fuss, are you here? All right. Clerk of Courts, Tiffany Moore Russell. Orange County Commissioner Mayoral, please make your way to the stage. Former Congressman Stephanie Murphy, are you here? Please make your way to the stage. And Chris Messina, if you're here, please make your way to the stage. Please give these individuals a round of applause. They can reach back to us by our deadline, and that's why they are here. So we are going to get into the thick of it. We have Mrs. Sandra Fatney Hall, who is our moderator. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you all. As the president of the Pines Community Council, I truly appreciate you all here. This is going to flow as smooth as we can. Just remember to be respectful of each other and respectful of the audience that we have here, and everything will be okay. Dr. Nichols is your timekeeper. You will have 2 minutes for your opening statements and 2 minutes at the end for closing statements. And you will have, I believe, about 1 minute to answer each question. We will have questions that were pre-submitted from the audience, but then we will also open for the floor for individuals who have questions for you as well. Does that sound, if time permits, okay? Does that sound good? Everybody understand? Awesome, thank you so much. Ms. Sandra, I turn it over to you. Thank
so
you.
much, I appreciate you. All right, are you all ready? I'm truly excited. I'm happy for all of these individuals that have taken the time to be here. Let's give them a round of applause. I believe there's a microphone on the table, and I just want to take a minute to thank Ryan, who is a bronze sponsor. And Ryan is from Revitalized Care of Central Florida. And you will hear from Ryan before we leave. But we're against time. Ryan, please stand and wave. And I will definitely give a round of applause for the refreshments this evening. I want to thank Ms. Kim and everyone that helped us to pull this together. Dr. Nichols and the entire team. So, let's get into this. Let's start off. Where should I start? Oh, all right, we're starting down that way. So please, Mr. Chris Messina, you have 2 minutes and everyone gets the same amount of time.
Sounds great. Actually, I'm going to give you a minute back because my opening is just a minute.
Perfect. Thank you
Since
so
you're
much
running
for that.
over.
Yes.
So good afternoon, Pine Hills. I'm Chris Messina and I'm running for Orange County Mayor. I'm a Christian. I've been married for 25 years to one woman, my wife, Julie. I'm a father of 3. They're all in Florida schools. I've been a volunteer football coach to over 100 of Orange County's youth. I'm also a businessman. I have a master in city and regional planning as a Rotary Fellow from Rutgers University. I have an MBA in business from Harvard Business School. I spent 3+ decades in building high-tech businesses and trade associations. These have generated thousands of jobs and billions of dollars in revenue. We need a new vision here in Greater Orlando and in Pine Hills. We need to have great jobs. We need to keep our kids safe, and we need to reduce the overall cost of living. That's what I'm bringing to this campaign. That's what I'm bringing to this county. That's my platform. You can learn more about me at my website, chrismessina.com. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to the organizers for bringing us all together. Congratulations to you all on your 15th anniversary. It's really great to be here with you all. I'm Stephanie Murphy, and I'm running for Orange County Orange County Mayor, because I think we need strong county leadership with a vision for a future where every resident prospers. And I think we need a leader who has the ability to bring people together to achieve that goal. I've spent my entire career solving complex problems, whether that was in the business world, helping businesses grow and create jobs, or at the Department of Defense, where I set priorities for the budget of the world's largest bureaucracy with a massive responsibility of keeping this country safe. And in Congress, I worked across the aisle to deliver real results for this community, named one of the most effective members of Congress consistently. Now, I think in Orange County, we are at an inflection point. We're growing really fast. But I think that too many families feel like they're falling behind. Housing costs are rising, traffic is getting worse, and people will want to simply feel safe in their communities and stable in their homes and confident in their future. And I think we need leadership that can deliver that. And I know what it's like to live in a family that is struggling. I grew up in a trailer park with parents who worked multiple jobs just to make ends meet. So I know what it feels like to be in a family that's working hard and can't seem to get ahead. As mayor, I'm going to stay focused on what matters most, and that's making our county more affordable, improving livability, and creating the kind of economic opportunity that lets families get ahead, not just simply get by. I hope to earn your support. I look forward to hearing about what you're interested in and what your concerns are. And I hope we can work together to build a county that works for everybody.
There is a 30-second warning.
Okay, so if you hear the first beat, that's a 30-second one.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Myra Uribe. I am running for Orange County Mayor. I have the pleasure of being Orange County Commissioner for District 3, 3 times elected in 2018, 2020, and most recently in 2024. But before that, I'm actually a daughter of immigrant, first generation American. My father is Colombian, my mother's Argentinian. They came to Orlando in 1972 because my dad worked for a small company called Martin Marietta. And I was born and raised in Pine Castle. I never left Orange County, and I had the pleasure of representing the same community that I was born and raised in. And now I have the pleasure, my husband, Kevin, we've been married for 24 years and we have 2 children. My daughter, Faith, she's in college, who's 22, and my son, Lincoln, who's 8 in 3rd grade. And as everyone thinks the math, yes, God has humor, but here we are. And I am honored to represent this community, but I want to tell you why I'm running for mayor. I'm running for mayor because it's time we put people first. We have become a government at every level where we talk about contracts and this and that, but what about the people who live in this community? When we look at housing, when we look at transportation, we get scraps, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm tired of the scraps. I told you I was born and raised in Pine Castle. I still live there. I take Orange Blossom Trail to go to my home every night. I've only moved once in my life, and that's when my husband Kevin and I purchased our home with our children. And we've had the honor of being there, but realizing we need someone to fight for us, who's gonna not just look at housing, but stop generational poverty, who's not just gonna look at transportation, but really, how do we make it work for us? And who's gonna prioritize good paying jobs for our children. We've worked too hard. We need our young talent to stay in this town, and I know Orange County has many more years ahead of it. So I'm going to ask for your vote, and hopefully I'll earn it tonight. Thank you. That's some serious technology.
Cycle 15, okay. All right, good evening, Pine Hills. First, let me congratulate you on 50 years of amazing work and service in this community. I am Tiffany Moore Russell, and I'm running for Orange County Mayor. But let me tell you about Tiffany. I am Tiffany, the little girl from Tangelo Park. I'm a product of Orange County, a daughter of a single mother who worked her way in the city of Orlando, who understands that you need public transportation to have access to opportunities. As a graduate of the University of South Florida and Florida State University College of Law, I bring to this race someone who has experience and leadership necessary to establish a vision for this community. You all know me, I once was your county commissioner. I served 8 years as a District 6 commissioner, and then you elected me, not 1 time, but 4 times, to be your Orange County clerk of court. And I will tell you, I will bring to this race the experience as a policymaker, as a former commissioner, but someone who has also been an executive who has run a constitutional office. And you say, well, why does that matter? Because that's what the Orange County mayor is going to have to do. Someone who's going to have to address pay. I'm not giving you an idea about raising wages. I'm telling you I'm someone who has done it. I am someone, when I became the clerk, I started at $12 an hour. Now the clerk's office is paying $17 an hour. And so I bring to this race strategic leadership, proven, experienced leadership who has changed the culture of an organization and will be able to set the vision for Orange County. I'm running for mayor because I have a 17-year-old son, a 14-year-old son, and I want to create a community where they want to return and raise their family here. This race is going to be about affordability. We have families in this community who cannot afford to live in Orange County. They cannot afford to drive and pay gas and be able to go from Winter Garden all the way to downtown. And this is going to be about innovation, creativity, and strategic leadership to move this county forward. And I ask for your vote for Orange County Mayor.
Well, that is a good act to follow. I'm Randy Fuston. I'm running for mayor because I'm just a regular guy with a regular service job in the tech industry, and I think that is a voice that it is important to have in politics at all levels. Whether or not I win this thing, I want to bring up some issues that I think are important for you all to hear and for the candidates up here to hear as well. I think everybody's focused on affordability because it's the most important thing we're dealing with right now as a community and as a nation, really, with the current situation we're in. But I have three situations that I think set me apart from the other candidates on this stage. I believe I am the only candidate that is 100% against CFX touching a single inch of split oak land. I believe I am the only candidate fully against providing any support for ICE operations. And I believe I am the only candidate that will do whatever I can to roll out unionization across not only our entire public sector, but also helping roll it out across the entire private sector in any way that I can. Now, I look forward to hearing about those issues from the other candidates. Thank you very much.
All right, so you just heard the introduction from all of our candidates that are on the stage. Let me take a point of personal privilege to invite you all to see these candidates on July 8th. July 8th is our hobnob at the Central Florida Fairgrounds from 5 to 8 p.m. We encourage you to come out, we encourage you to participate, and we encourage you to be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. You can only do that if you're involved and engaged. In the room this evening, we have the Supervisor of Elections Office. I'm going to ask you, if you have not registered to vote, please do so before you leave. We've brought them to you this evening, since you sometimes don't go to them. Right? So please understand the importance of that. We have over 85,000 residents in this Pine Hills community, and with 60,000 of them registered to vote, and we still can't get them out. So we've got to use a strategy to get our people out to vote. And also, we have the League of Women Voters that's here. Please go and see these individuals in the room. All right, let's get started. This question came over about 4 times. We're going to be honest with you, so I might as well start with it. What are your top 3 priorities for the district, and how will you address them? For Orange County, pretty much, that's what you're running for, not just the district of, District 7, but for Orange County. What are your top 3 priorities for the district, for the area, and how will you address them? And everyone has 1 minute. Yes.
All right, my campaign focuses on 3 pillars: land, labor, and liberty. Land is a 2-pronged issue for me. I think that everybody should be able to achieve some form of stable shelter. And I feel like the routes to that should be easy, not extremely difficult. I want to also protect our natural lands. So again, don't want CFX touching split oak at all or any other preservation lands. And I would rather keep development outside of our rural boundary to an absolute minimum unless it's absolutely necessary. Labor is about protecting our workers by providing unionization opportunities to our public sector, as well as trying to help private sector employees with that same item. And liberty is about protecting your rights as a community. So again, not allowing ICE to trample a single member of our community with their enforcement operations, for instance.
All right, thank you.
So you heard...
So you heard me mention that this race is about affordability. So the 3 issues that are important to me are housing. You heard me mention in my opening, making sure that we have accessible housing. You can be fancy enough, affordable, sustainable, but housing for people to be able to afford to rent or purchase a home in this community. Transportation is a huge issue, and to be able to have a dedicated funding source for transportation is a huge issue for me. And economic development opportunities, maintaining our jobs that we have here, but also attracting new businesses that are going to bring high-paying jobs that will ultimately address the affordability issue we have here. Families want to be able to have thriving opportunities, a thriving job, opportunities to grow and grow their families here. So those are my 3 priorities.
All right, thank you.
I think there's going to be a little bit of momentum here. Number 1, jobs. And I'm gonna tell you a big secret, tourism doesn't like me because those aren't good paying jobs, ladies and gentlemen. We need real jobs that people can afford to live on. Jobs and business development. As an entrepreneur, you should feel support from your local government to be able to thrive and create more jobs. Number two, transportation. You can have a great job, great town, great schools, but if you can't move people around, we are dormant. And lastly, the affordability crisis. But what people don't talk about is part of the problem why we've got excessively high cost of living and housing is because we have a broken system internally in Orange County. It takes way too long to develop, and we need to streamline that, especially if you're gonna make it affordable for families to be able to purchase. So those are my three top issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
It looks like everybody understands what the problem is, but let's see who can provide the solutions. I would say my top three issues are as well attainable housing, less congestion, and better paying jobs. On attainable housing, you have to increase the housing supply as a key way to address that across the entire spectrum, whether you are a young person trying to rent a place, or you're a senior trying to stay in your home, or you're a first-time home buyer. And we can do so without changing the character of communities. Less congestion. We need to make the investments that have long been needed, long been felt, and despite the budget increasing significantly under the last decade, those resources haven't been invested. And better paying jobs. That means diversifying the economy as well as ensuring that there's adequate job training. And that means we look to innovative solutions, kind of like Osceola. Perhaps we have free community college. So there are a lot of ways to address these issues.
So my priorities are, number one, we need to diversify our economy to bring in a range of high-tech jobs, particularly in space tech. So one initiative that we've launched is we are working really hard to bring the first military academy in the South, the Space Force Academy, to Orange County. That will spin off $1 billion in revenues. Number two, keep our kids safe. We have to give them hope. And to give them hope, what we need to do is to make sure they know they can have a good job. So we've started a program called Orange County Works to provide a partially subsidized trade school education for everybody who wants it. Number three, get rid of waste, fraud, and bureaucracy in county government so that we can invest in things we need, like affordable housing and transportation improvements, without raising taxes.
All right, thank you. So, boy, I tell you, I am bombarded with questions here. I'm going to do my best. For years, you know we're in Pine Hills, right? Pine Hills Community Council. For years, Pine Hills has been viewed within our eyes as a case study by our local government. We have had so many promises and experimental efforts given to us. How do you plan to show collaboration with our communities versus becoming the savior to our neighborhoods? Anyone can take it. I can hear from 2 or 3 or all. It's entirely up to you. 1 minute. And the timer is being kept by Janae. It's 1 minute, and she'll look up at you and tell you hi. I can read the question again. For years, Pine Hills has been viewed within our eyes as a case study by our local government. We have had so many promises and experimental efforts given to us. How do you plan to show collaboration with our communities versus becoming the savior to our neighborhood?
I think I'd start that question by asking you all a question. Do you feel like this community has gotten its fair share of resources from the county, given the number of people who live here? Do you feel like the county as it exists today sees you with the dignity and respect that you deserve, co-equal to all of the other corners of this county? And if the answer is no, then I think where we start is investment that matches the aspirations of this community, and working together, not to tell the community what it needs, but to ask it how it can further develop from an economic perspective, from a safety perspective, from the environmental perspectives, and to address the flooding and other issues that impact families on a daily basis.
So I think the way to do that is you have to go and just talk to folks. So I walked out to a bus stop the other day, and there was a young guy there named Jason, just waiting for the bus, and I said, "You're waiting to go to work?" And he said, yeah. And I said, how long does it take? 2 hours. I said, let me guess. You have to go down to the main depot and change a bus. He works at the airport. And I won't say his job, but he works at the airport. So, and then I said, then you have 2 hours to get back. And so I shared with him my idea that we should completely redo the lakes and equip it with technology, downsize the large buses so that we're more like Uber and Lyft, point to point. And he said, I'm going to vote for you and give me a sign.
Ladies and gentlemen, come on, stop the stigma, okay? Everybody knows what they talk about Pine Hills, just like they talk about OBT. Where you're based, we are basically judged by the color of our skin, how much money we make and where we live. And it needs to stop. Everyone tells me, oh, you live off of OBT? Yes, and I'm a family. We've got to stop the stigma, treat us with respect and dignity that we have earned. We are hard-paying taxpayers in this county. We have all been, and all we want to do is have a good life for ourselves, our children, and our future. We knew a need to continue to empower our communities to do that. That's why we need to fight for us. It's easy to live in Windermere, Winter Park, and I tell people, if the status quo of what was important in Windermere and Winter Park were the same as they were on OBT and Pine Hills, we wouldn't have a problem. That's why we need someone who's gonna roll up their sleeves and fight for us and stop the stigma that they have done and plagued our community for many years.
Well, the question was how would I work with Pine Hills to address the ever need to want to move forward? Well, first and foremost, you already have a Pine Hills Neighborhood Improvement District. And so first is to look at what does the county currently have today. Does that program work for Orange County? Do we need to go back in the room and figure out, do we revamp that program? Do we expand it? Do you become a CRA? And that requires having a strategic planning session with this community to identify what is your vision for Pine Hills, then establish your goals and come up with strategies to achieve those goals. So that's how I would work with Pine Hills, because you already have infrastructure in place. You have a neighborhood improvement district, you have a very active homeowners association. So from here, we want to transcend what you're already doing today. We want to expand what you're already doing today to address what's happening, what you're not seeing happen for this community, whether it's code enforcement, whether letting people set stuff up in their yard and not address the beautification of this community. That's what I will do as your next mayor, and work with the commissioners who you elect to represent you, because it's going to require all of us working together to bring about change in this community.
Yeah, very similar take from me. Community-specific issues require community-specific insight. I don't live in Pine Hills. I would need to work closely with commissioners relevant to the district, with actual citizens living in the district to identify what problems remain, seek out what resources we currently have to deal with those situations, and see how we can revamp those to meet the needs of the actual community. That's what I got.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to take up a point that was said there, the NID. It's extremely important that we understand that when we have agencies that are here, we have to work together, right? This is the Pine Hills Community Council, and I will have no apologies for the Pine Hills Community Council. We're a volunteer group of people that work extremely hard. You're doing something in Pine Hills that we're not aware of, makes no sense. It's a division. It has to work, and we have to work together. I believe there's an event tomorrow, we didn't even know about that, right? So those are some of the things that we're talking about doesn't work for us. We need to work together, not against each other, because there's strength in unity and unity in strength. Amen. So, do you support a CRA or special tax district for Pine Hills? I have two more Pine Hills questions and then I'll move over general, because I don't know if you support that. We don't have a CRA in this community, right? We have opportunity zone, but we don't have a CRA. So, do you support a CRA or special tax district for Pine Hills? Yes or no? And in one sentence, why?
I think that without all of the surrounding information, it makes sense because the community is so tight-knit, but I do not know enough about this particular situation to provide legitimate insight, so I'm going to pass.
So we have to be very careful when we say do. I would support a CRA as long as the county does not feel as though they're not going to be able to subsidize. Because the key is going to have to be, will you generate enough revenue to address the impact of the services that you're going to need? And so a lot of CRAs, when I was a District 6 commissioner, I served on the OBT CRA. And it was not sufficient to address all of the infrastructure needs on OBT. So a CRA can work, but you also cannot have this feeling as though you don't have to do anything else to serve that community. Because more than likely, the revenue generated from that tax may not be sufficient to address the needs in that community.
We would really have to talk to the community, because when you do a community redevelopment area, you're basically saying the tax dollars in that area are going to be used for that area. But if you don't generate it, then you're stuck. When you're not a CRA, you can actually get general funds to come in this area and specifically support it. So it would have to be more of a vote and unanimous, because if you can't have the funds to support the projects, especially the infrastructure is so expensive, you're gonna end up being like what you see in North OBT. Once you go under I-4, that's the OBT CRA, and you can see the difference once you go under I-4 and go north. South OBT doesn't have a CRA, so they get the funding, they get the state funding. If you go into our CRA, you can see the difference. They can't even get sidewalks fixed. So it's very important that the community assess this and really make a constructive decision if they're willing to make that commitment, especially from local businesses in the area, because you're going to keep your tax revenue here.
All right, thank you.
My answer is yes and. Yes to the CRA and to additional investments. When we see a situation in this county where nobody else is providing the capital for the infrastructure or the economic development or whatnot, that then falls on the county. It is the county's responsibility to provide that. And you can think about it as starter capital to allow the community to light on fire and to achieve its aspirations.
They say the devil's in the details. So would I support a CRA? It depends, and it depends on just getting the parties in the room, Sandra's group, folks here, and folks from the Board of County Commissioners, and then we'll decide. One thing, though, I do think we really need that's related in Pine Hills is flexible zoning so that we could potentially put more units on smaller pieces of property and house more folks here. So that's something, and I know churches here are very interested in doing that because they have land that's potentially developable.
Thank you. All right, so each and every one of these questions are in different categories. Now we're into education. Can you give one or two pointers that you outlined as a strategy to increase funding for education without overburdening taxpayers? Because we are going through a difficult time at this time. Schools are closed. Any plans for that? It's about right.
First of all, we have to support our public education. We know that. When Step Up started, the intent was to give parents flexibility, but what's happened is they've taken away and robbed public education. Our teachers are suffering. OCPS is letting people go. We've closed 7 schools in Orange County. This is horrible. Who is going to stand up for our public teachers? They already don't get the respect, and if you looked at their current wage, it is absolutely ridiculous because their cost of insurance went higher than their actual raises. We've got to refocus on public education. We need our incredible legislators, and we need to back them up. And even though we're county commissioners and all we do is collect the tax that we do for the school system, we have to show support. Our children are our most vulnerable part of this entire system. So we have to work together, and we have to stand up for them.
All right, so that's a very interesting question. So as Orange County Mayor, I would support our Florida legislators and those who represent us in our Orange County delegation to give the good fight to make sure we have adequate funding for our schools. Because Orange County does not have jurisdiction over schools. But what Orange County can impact is after-school programs. Programs to offer things for our young people. Internship opportunities for the summer to give them jobs. I have a 9th grader. And the sweet spot for 9th graders is after 8th grade, they don't get after-school programs, and they have nothing to do. And so what do we do to expand? That's what we can do as a county government. Look what Osceola County does. They pay for all of their graduates to go to Valencia Community College. Osceola has made that investment. So that's what Orange County can do to supplement, because we are not authorized to make decisions for our public school education. But I'll be a supporter and a champion of our legislators to make sure we're supporting our teachers. I live in a household with an educator. My husband is the principal of Wakaiva High School, so every day I pray for my husband to go to school to educate the future leaders of this community. So every day I understand how to support our teachers and principals.
Amen. Thank you. I would like to ask just to involve the audience just for a minute, because I tell you I'm bombarded with questions here. So the first 5 people that have a question, please line up right here, and I can ask your question. You know, I knew it was going to be you. Yes, I just knew. So can I have 5 individuals, please? I'm trying to manage time really well here. Name your number 5. Anyone else? Oh, no questions from the audience? Oh, wonderful. All right, so then we need to give you a microphone. Oh, you wanted to answer? Oh, please. There's more to answer. Sorry. Yeah. Because sometimes everyone doesn't want to answer. Yes, please let's finish answering.
Okay, yeah, just wanted to point out that I really appreciate your response, and I agree 100% with what my opponent Tiffany has said for this particular question. But also I want to piggyback off that and say so much of our funding is preempted in the realm of local rule. And so we can look at that as a challenge to be overcome, or we can look at it as an opportunity to get up there and work with our legislators about so much more than just education, but certainly education as well.
As I mentioned, my parents worked 2 jobs. My mom worked her day job to pay for my childcare, and the night job paid for groceries. And when I finally got to kindergarten, I became a latchkey kid at the age of 5, letting myself in until my brother came home from school because he had a different time out. So for me, this idea of quality after-school programs, affordable childcare, and a quality public school, because it was a public school teacher who invested in me that enabled me to have the career that I've had in business, in national security, and in Congress. Those things aren't abstract to me. I understand what it looks like when a community doesn't have it, and what opportunities get unlocked when those policies are available to a community. So I am committed to ensuring that this community, every single corner of this county, has access to all of those things.
So when it comes to the school system, I'm a huge supporter of school choice. So that's probably different from some of the folks here. I believe that the money should follow the child, and that we should, if the schools aren't doing their job, then the parents should have the right to move their kids to whatever school is best for them. Now, having said that, I believe that we have to invest in opportunities for our kids, and I mentioned this idea of the Orange County Works program. That's a partially subsidized trade school education for every kid starting their junior year in school, all the way to in their 60s or 70s. So we should allocate $10 million, which is what Osceola does with the Osceola Prospers, but have it more focused on trade jobs. There's a shortage of 1,200 trade jobs in Orange County. And did you know that a third-year plumber can make $100,000? Yeah.
We ready over here? I got a 2-part question. The first question is for the audience. Do anyone know FS 100.360 is? That's called a recall election. An Orange County official, as a mayor, can be recalled from office with 45,000 signatures. One of them is a neglect of duty. So you, as a voter, if you feel the new mayor is not in position when they get in office, recall election. I got the money. That's the first thing. Now the question is, do y'all know the House? Do y'all know that law is? No, not the candidate. Don't worry about the candidate. You gotta know the is. We gotta hold them accountable. Okay? Okay. Now my question is for. Okay. Now, my question is for Ms. Murphy. Where have you been?
Alright, so we're gonna move on to the next question, please.
Why she can't answer that one? You gotta answer the question now. You gotta get the question. Why she can't answer?
I think this is what people don't like about politics. Instead of shouting and screaming, they want to hear solutions. And so far, we've had a really substantive conversation. I've taken good notes of ideas that my fellow candidates have put forward, because what you deserve as constituents of this community is elected officials who don't scream. We have enough of that going on in this country, but rather they're willing to put pen to paper and find solutions to the challenges that affect your everyday life.
Yeah. Hello. So my only question is, I hear everybody's standpoint on getting capital, getting money, affordability for housing and all that stuff. But after a while, when you're beating on the front door for so many days and so many years, who's going to be that person that's going to open up or have that opportunity to get their voice heard, to get these opportunities in the community? Because you can talk about making sure everything's good, making sure we have the capital to get what we need, but who's going to be that person to step forward and actually do what they're saying they're going to do?
Fair.
I was a little confused. So who's in the community actually putting forth the work to get the results that we need? Who is here every day? Who's here monthly? Who's in the community actually putting that step forward to get what we need? That's my question.
Not to hog the mic, but I would just say that I think that we live in an incredible community where there are so many people in the nonprofit world, the faith leaders, the business community, and in our government who show up every day and who are doing their best. What I would say about the allocation of resources is that this community is not a community that is short on resources. We have a higher budget as a county than half a dozen states. That budget has almost doubled in the last decade. And yet, when some of you may have gone to the county to ask for things, they've said we don't have the money. Yep. So I think it starts by taking a good look at how the budget is allocated to the priorities of this community and allocating it as such.
So you probably all know that I'm a conservative, and I was advised by some conservatives in the political types. They said, "Don't waste your time in Pine Hills," and I said, "No, I'm going to double down just because you said that. I'm going to spend as much time as I can in Pine Hills talking to people, going to churches, and that's just what I'm doing."
Okay, so I've been elected for 7 years, and from the moment I was elected in 2018, I have had over 75 food drives. I've done hundreds of back-to-school fishing events. Every month since I've been elected, I've been serving. We fought for COVID for $1,000 for people, $10,000 for businesses, first-time homebuyers, and even rental assistance. And yes, I stood up against Universal Studios when they didn't want to pay people, and I stood up against tourism when they stole over $20 million, and they're not accountable. I have been fighting for day one when people wanted to take me out, because I will stand up for what's wrong in government, and I will stand up for you, because I want this town to be better, because I'm invested. I don't know anywhere else but this town. I love this town. I want you to do well, your children, your grandchildren, and we need someone who says, everyone step aside. We're going to take care of the people who live in this county first.
I will tell you, I've been your clerk of court for 10 plus years and county commissioner for 8 years. And every job that I take on, I understand what my purpose is and how to get it done. And so what I've done for this community is we've offered restoration of rights workshops, how to get on payment plans, how to serve our community. That's the kind of leader you will get with Tiffany as your Orange County mayor. When I was clerk, prior to becoming an elected official, I used my legal skills to work for legal services to help families keep their housing, to stay in Section 8, stay in affordable housing. So I am someone who's been a fighter, who also uses my gift and my talents to be the voice for the marginalized. And so with that, when I became the clerk, I opened the first ever self-help center in this county. to make sure people who cannot afford an attorney have access to legal representation. So that's the kind of leader I would be as your next mayor.
I think it's important to note real quick that my current job isn't in politics. I have a regular 9 to 5, which takes obviously a lot of my time, and when I get home, a lot of the time, I am burnt the hell out, and I think a lot of people in this room can relate to that. That said, I have taken a lot of personal time to go to protests, to help the Democratic Progressive Caucus by chairing their policy and advocacy committee for a few months while I was campaigning, to do things like attending the initial Support Orlando Shelters campaigns because they align with the vision that made me run. So I am also out there doing work in the capacity that I can as an employed, regular individual. If I was to bring that to an elected position, I would be out there all the goddamn time.
So, real quick, before we move on to the next questions, I'm asking everyone to, there's a way that we can ask our questions. Let's remember why we're here. We're here for community, we're here for listening to policy, and we're here to understand why these individuals want to represent us. So it's important to ask your questions, but let's do it in a respectful way, just like I'm asking them to be respectful to their fellow candidates here. So let's continue moving forward, and we'll go to the next question. Thank you.
Good evening. So my question is about the Live Local Act and how it has now extended to churches. One of the concerns is with the Live Local Act is that affordable housing can be placed and it kind of steps all over home rule. How can you ensure, now with churches being able to build affordable housing on the lands that they own, when you think about small communities where churches are all through the community, and if those churches have extra land, what if every single church builds a project with affordable housing and multiple units? How do you ensure that those areas can retain their character without becoming concrete jungles?
First, I think that allowing religious institutions to enact the will that Jesus would have wanted them to by supporting their communities in a real, tangible way, I think that's important, and I think that's something we can certainly allow for. I don't know if these properties should be tax exempt necessarily just because they're on church lands. That's something we can certainly discuss. But I think this is a real space that I am excited to see develop, and I hope it goes in the right way. As to making sure areas keep their character, ultimately that's a conversation that we'll have to have with the churches making those adjustments.
That's a great question, right? Because what you mentioned is we need more housing, but we also want to protect what's local, our image, who we are, and our brand. And I want to take you all to New Covenant Baptist Church built senior housing on their land. And so to me, that's a great example of a church who was part of that community, who was part of the Rio Grande community that provided services to that community. So I think my approach would be working with the developers, the churches, and the community to see how we can all move together as a unit to provide what we need for our community by also protecting the brand of that small city, that small community, so we don't lose who they are as a community. So it does require working together with a public-private collaborative approach to be able to address the needs of the community.
So as your county commissioner, actually, we're already working on this. One of my colleagues is in the audience. We've already had our first workshop. And there's a couple things that are very important about this. When you go to develop an infill, so you're taking a lot that's empty and doesn't have anything, there's a lot of requirements environmentally and also infrastructure. Where's the water gonna flow? How's the traffic gonna come? And what kind of criteria are you gonna build on that property? Because they can start it as tax exempt and put up affordable housing, but how long are they gonna keep it that way? Is it gonna be 10 years, 20, 30 in perpetuity? This is what's very important. You have to know how you're doing this. So we've already stepped up. We're the first county actually in the state that's already put a measure together because we have a housing crisis. And we are depending on folks to do that infill, just like our Vision 2050 was. So, but when we do it, You don't need a road that's gonna be more congested. You wanna make sure that water has a place to go, that there's storm drainage and all of these things. We have laws, you can't do septic anymore. So you have to do this responsibly because we're responsible for this land and its future.
Tom, thank you.
You know, of all the people who are doing development in this county, I think I might trust the faith leaders the most. To be honest, they live day to day, hearing the burden that members of their congregation carry. They hear the concerns. And when there are people who are in need, they are the first ones to help. I know that because my family was supported by the Lutheran Church. People came together when they saw someone in need. They contributed clothes to get us through the winter. They helped. And so I think if there's somebody who can responsibly provide the much needed additional housing units to make housing attainable in this community, I'd have my greatest faith in the faith leaders.
So I think, again, this is first of all, excellent question. Thank you for asking it. And I think this is a case where the details are very important, and it's important also not to rush the development, to make sure that there's a significant review process where there's active community involvement, so that these issues can be adjudicated and looked at and resolved. If we rush development just because it's a church, then we're very likely to increase the chance of a bad outcome. And so we have to make sure that there's a mechanism, the review mechanism's in place, and the community leaders are part of it.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay, thanks for being here. My question is about transportation. So a couple of years ago, we had an initiative on the ballot for dedicated funds. But moving forward, how would you balance our transportation need between the links and the autonomous vehicle and the electric vehicle that's coming up? So how would you balance our transportation need to address every generation that may want to drive, want to take the bus, autonomous or electric vehicle?
Patricia, thanks for your question. So we have to look at transportation as a system. So that includes the toll roads, that includes electric vehicles, that includes the Lynx bus system. The Lynx bus system is way too oversized, overscaled for a county as sprawling and spread out as Orange County. But what we need to do is introduce technology, such as the same technology that's used for Uber and Lyft. And there are ride-sharing companies that want to do this. I've been calling for this for the past 4 years, and Seminole has just started a project to do that. So I think that we in Orange County should join the Seminole initiative there, and we should also look at what about the revenues from the tolls? What can we do using that to enhance our other forms of mass transit, such as Brightline, which is in trouble right now, and such as Sunrail, which is also in trouble. Thank you for asking that.
I think that we have to reframe the way that we talk about and think about transportation. Transportation is a public good, and so we should stop trying to make each one of the systems pencil, and we should think more about it as a way to connect people to opportunity, that it isn't just physical mobility, but rather it's economic mobility. And so being system agnostic and thinking about how do we make investments that move the greatest number of people to the greatest set of opportunities and make those investments, whether that is a Lynx line directly down Kirkman or whether that is investment in light rail. We have to look at this problem differently than we have in the past.
Ladies and gentlemen, 92% of our public drive cars, and most of them are single driver cars. 8% of our population actually uses public transit because it doesn't get you where you need to go. Did anyone here come by Lynx tonight? It's too long, 2 to 3 hours. Sunrail, we're committed to it. Decision makers before us tied a contract to us and we're subsidizing it by $17 million a year. And Lynx, we're subsidizing by over $110 million a year. So we have it. We're not getting rid of Sunrail. We need Sunrail to work for us. We need it to go to the airport, and then we need to find connections directly. We already have lines of links that go down Cimarron, Orange, OBT, Kirkman. Those are direct lines that'll take you right to Disney. And we've got to stop forcing people to go to downtown. The Pine Hill substation is the best thing that happened to our community because it can move people. The highest movement of Link Station is the Florida Mall because of our tourism workers who go to iDrive and the airport. Between the airport and iDrive, we have 130,000 people working. We need to help them.
Thank you, Patricia, for that question. We're going to need an overall vision for a multimodal system when it comes to transportation in this county. Because what we have found is that Orange County will pass a tax, but for some reason we don't want to embrace transportation tax, right? We know that. But we have 13 unique cities in this county, and they all have different needs, all have different transportation needs. So we need a countywide plan that's going to address how do we get Apopka to buy into this versus Horizons West. But we have to look at transportation not just from roads, multimodals, but extending bus routes or bike routes. We also have major challenges in some thoroughfares, such as the 429 and the Turnpike interchange is horrible. If anybody has ever driven that, it is horrible. Or whether you live on the east side, you're taking Narcoossee Road. We have to fix, so it's not just buses and it's not just rail, there's also some of our entryways where we have major transportation challenges. We need to fix some of our roads. So it's a whole vision plan that we need to come back together, maybe brush off some old plans that we've had over the years and revamp how we do that.
I'm glad that light rail was mentioned. I am fully in favor of a hub and spoke light rail system, probably above ground, so that we don't have to change our streets too much in our major population centers, radiating outward from Orlando to all of our major population centers so that we can get around effectively by rail once we complete this system. That'll alleviate our roads, it'll make transportation within and without our major population centers a lot easier, and it'll be integral for the type of infill that is essential for my campaign.
Thank you. Orange County doesn't operate in a vacuum. We're constantly coordinating with cities such as Orlando and other regional partners. Can you share a specific example of how you've worked across jurisdictions or with stakeholders you didn't fully agree with? And what that experience would look like and how you govern as our Orange County mayor?
This will be brief because, again, not an elected official, so I haven't had a lot of opportunities, but I got into politics by being a political debater on TikTok, which was a great time. I actually did convince a few extremely right-wing Trump supporters that they should vote for Kamala Harris, and that's my big claim.
So I'll give you one example. As the Orange County Clerk of Court, you all remember we passed Amendment 4 giving convicted felons the right to get their rights back. And so I had to work with some very conservative clerks that surround me, Seminole, Lake, to make sure they were also doing restoration of rights programs. Are they willing to give a payment plan to be able to serve those constituents? Because at the end of the day, our goal is to follow the Constitution and give them assistance. So that's how I've been able to work, because I'm actually one of the few clerks that are Democrats in the statewide association. So I've had to work with Republican clerks to be able to address how do we provide access to justice for all citizens. And that's how I've been able to work across the aisle, even with my regional partners or locally.
That was a fantastic question, because nobody says I'm driving into Apopka and I'm leaving Orlando and I'm driving into Edgewood and Belle Isle. Ladies and gentlemen, as a county commissioner, I've represented 3 cities in my district, the city of Belle Isle, the city of Edgewood, and the city of Orlando. And what we do is we work together, because you all as residents deserve to have that. You don't drive and say, now I'm in a new line and I expect different government. And you're gonna need a mayor who's gonna work with all of them and make them equal. Right away is always in the cities. We gotta take care of those cities. We got to give them their fair share of funding so that they can have a productive city and they can move forward. We've got to stop this us against them. It's got to be us together, because that's the only way we're going to get transportation ahead. That's the only way we're going to get housing ahead and infrastructure. We are together, and if property taxes roll back, we have to worry, because cities may not be able to afford to maintain their status as cities because they're mostly reliant on residential taxes. So it's very important that the county work together. 900 million, excuse me.
I was consistently rated one of the most bipartisan and most effective members of Congress. I was effective because I was bipartisan, being able to work with people from a lot of different ideological perspectives. What I will note about the way the current commission treats the county and the cities within them, because I've been speaking to all of the city mayors, is that when they look out on the city, on the county from a tax collection perspective, they see a whole piece of cheese, so they collect from everybody. But when they look to spend, they see Swiss cheese, and the holes are where the cities currently exist. And you cannot have a cooperative relationship when what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. And that's the way the current commission operates, and that has to change.
So I was the vice chair of Orange County Watch, which is actually a bipartisan organization where the chair is either a Democrat or Republican and the vice chair is the opposite. And so that required working closely together in terms of bringing in speakers, in terms of positions, in terms of initiatives. And I'll mention one specific initiative. I worked with a number of people who are in the other party to fight against the sales tax increase. I didn't think we needed it. I thought it was destructive, it was regressive, and it was unnecessary. And so did a number of people from the other party. And you can probably guess which party I'm part of and which party they were. And we successfully stopped that. And I think that for people who are struggling with fixed costs, not having that extra sales tax really benefits you. Thank you.
As mayor, how would you handle a situation where there is an illegal business in the community? It's, we all know it's illegal. Code enforcement and the mayor's office say it's illegal. But this person is able to take over almost a whole area corner with a lot of junk that they're selling. We have an open court magistrate order to foreclose on the property. It's an eyesore, not only an eyesore, it's bringing in rodents, it's bringing in everything else. And all we are hearing from court enforcement is we don't like to foreclose. We know he's doing this, we know he is not helping us, we know he is saying that I am not going to comply, but we don't like to foreclose. As mayor, how would you handle a situation like this? How would you help the rest of the community deal with this type of situation?
Thank you, and I understand exactly your struggle, because this is happening in our communities a lot more than everywhere else. First of all, we gotta get rid of the Code Enforcement Board, ladies and gentlemen. It's a useless board. All it does is extend the bad person's time to be bad. We've gotta go straight to it. Go to the magistrate, put it on there, put the lien, and start making movement. Because it lowers the value of our property, it causes rodents, and no one's held accountable. And then, we actually need to come and clean it, because we can't just say, well, we close it and we can just let it sit there. That's wrong. Those are our neighborhoods that sit that way, underserved. We go and clean it. I did that in Downey Park. You guys heard of that mobile home? They were selling drugs. They had gun violence, they had gangs. I pushed, had the county spend $370,000, and we cleared it out because it was hurting our children. They had needles on the sidewalk on the way to school. So we've got to get rid of the Code Enforcement Board because there's no viable reason. Take it to the magistrate and start putting the law in order. Thank you.
I think it's simple. I mean, government is there to enforce the rules that are agreed upon, irrespective of who is breaking those rules or where they live in the county. We have to treat all of this the same, and that means that there needs to be as much enforcement here in Pine Hills as there is anywhere else in the county. So it shouldn't be one of those things that can slide in one place and not in the other.
I have to say I agree with my two colleagues up here that you can't tolerate this. So I work with the sheriff's office to close it down, and then maybe figure out another alternative for that person. I assume they're a U.S. citizen and they're trying to make a living. So help them find another path, but they can't impose that. Essentially, what they're imposing is a tax a tax on the community, and taxation without representation is tyranny.
I will use all the strategies at my disposal to get rid of that property owner. At the end of the day, it becomes blight and creates blight in our community. Our neighborhoods cannot afford that. When I was in the county commission, we would cut people's grass and send them the bill. We're not just gonna wait for them to cut the grass. We're not gonna wait for them to remove the tires and remove the old cars. We have to start to set a new tone. We have to use all of our legal tools at our disposal to get rid of that type of behavior. So that's what I would do.
I think my first instinct is to ask if foreclosure is an option, why not do it? That said, foreclosure isn't an immediate process, and I think that during that process, we could have some sympathy for these types of business owners and try to work with them to get them into compliance, to make their business something that the community can agree with the existence of. And if we are able to do that, then I think we can call off the foreclosure process at that point.
Thank you, Mr.
Just for the audience, they're talking about the never-ending yard sale right here in Hiawassee. So they all know it's a never-ending yard sale. As a commissioner, Commissioner Mike Scott, as you all know, when the mayor presents a budget, he or she presents their budget for adoption by the Board of County Commissioners. And so I would like to know, and more than one option, because you have to be strategic, how would you work to get the commissioners on board with your agenda, and how would you work through if there's a difference of opinion? Because there's going to be a difference of opinion, and I believe the effectiveness as mayor is your ability to be able to work with the other commissioners.
To begin with, there has to absolutely be room for compromise. On anything, there has to be room for compromise. I'm a candidate that would be willing to bring some hardcore positions to our county if elected, and I know that not all of them are going to get through my Board of County Commissioners. This will take a lot of meetings, this will take a lot of debate, and this will take a lot of allowances on my part, and hopefully some allowances on theirs as well in those debates. And that's all we got. We either vote on the budget or we don't, and you can't not vote on a budget, so we're going to get there.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. That's a great question. The first thing is that any mayor should learn their county commissioners and learn what's important to them. And when I was a county commissioner, we would always fight to make sure my Head Start programs had the same amount of services that other districts had. Every commissioner wants to have wins in their district. And so I think it's key to make sure you understand what's important to your commissioners and that we all move forward and say how we're going to move this budget forward. At the end of the day, the mayor would then set their budget philosophy and then work with the commissioners to say how do we still provide those services and are we serving what's happening for the now 8 commissions that's going to be coming on board. And so really understanding what the needs of that district is and understand what the goals for that commissioner are is how you move and work with your board.
Commissioner Scott. So I look at this very differently. We all know the needs of our communities. That's why we're elected by our districts. I always tell, my biggest voice is District 3. I can tell you all about District 3. And we know what's important, what services are needed, and what needs to happen. And the county commissioners, all 8 of them, are going to have to fight for that, and we're going to have to negotiate. We've got to make sure that everyone across Orange County gets equal services and equal representation. Whether you live in Bithlo or whether you live in Horizon West, you are accounted for. And how do we get there? Is that we start early. We have these conversations with the strong chief of staff that goes to all the commissioners, understands their needs, but that doesn't happen at a budget. That actually continues on. I have the pleasure of serving with my commissioners, and we may not always agree, and we disagree a lot, but we respect and love each other. We don't bring politics into it. What we bring is heart and service and putting our community first. And that's the mayor I'm going to be. It's about us together, because when District 3 and District 6 thrive, we all thrive. Thank you.
When I was at the Department of Defense, which is the largest bureaucracy, I set the budget priorities for what was an $800 billion budget at a time when we had 2 ongoing wars in the Middle East. And as you can imagine, a lot of people didn't agree on where they fell out in the rack and stack of priorities. Often those people wore 4 stars. So being able to go to people who you don't necessarily have any authority over, which is a little bit the way the mayors are with the commissioners. Commissioners are independently elected. They have their own constituency that they're serving. The mayor can't force a commissioner to do any specific thing. It's about what kind of horse trading you can do to get everybody a little bit of what they want in an effort to move the entire county towards a vision of greater prosperity for everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott, for your question. I think the first place that it starts is the county mayor has to set an overall vision and then sell it to the commissioners and start from the basis of assuming respect, that you respect the individual and that you're assuming the best, that you assume that they're coming from they want the best for their community and they want the best for the county. And so that's been my approach in my life. I've always been a visionary, and I've always been able to work across the board with people who are different, have different perspectives, and come together for a better result.
Thank you, everybody. Am I on?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Okay. I just wanted to say thank you to each of you because I think we can all tell that you are each very passionate about your platform and you answered in very genuine ways. So thank you so much for deciding to run. I am Dr. Kelly Martinez-Summer. I'm the District 5 Commissioner as well as Orange County's Vice Mayor. And I also am a tourism expert. And one of the areas that I focus on is using tourism to help alleviate poverty or to help save a natural resource. And so we have 75 million tourists that visit us a year. That's more than 200,000 a day. And we collect tourist development tax revenue off of those tourists. That is confined to a very narrow amount of facilities that we can put that money into. And I would like to, one, just know your position on diversification of those funds so that we don't have to talk about raising our taxes. We can start talking about taxing tourists that visit us. Additionally, I would like to know we're going to have to make a decision on renewing Visit Orlando's contract for $120 million. And I want to know your position in terms of do we reduce, do we stay the same, do we increase? Because right now they're getting $120 million for advertising the corporation. So those would be my two questions, Visit Orlando and TBT diversification. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll take the easy one first, which is Visit Orlando. And the answer to that is it depends on the metrics by which they, first of all, Kelly, good to see you and thanks for the question. So it depends on their metrics. You have to look at what were the metrics what was their goal and did they achieve it with the money? If they didn't achieve it with the money, no, the money should be cut back. If they achieved or overachieved, they should get more. But I think they probably haven't overachieved. On the second question, diversifying the TDT, absolutely. So one of the things we have here in Orange County, we have some amazing, innovative programs. So we have a premier fire training center. I believe we could use that as a tourist destination for firefighters across the country. That they can come here, bring their families. I've mentioned that we're working on the Space Force Academy. That's another place where space tourism, where we could really broaden the use of the TDT. So absolutely.
Of course, any local elected official would want greater flexibility with funds. I mean, it'd be great if none of the funds were restricted. However, the changes to the TDT happen at the Tallahassee level, and I hope that we have people who are advocating for the changes that the communities need across the state. I think that with Visit Orlando, they need to be held accountable, but we also should set goals for them to ensure the greatest utilization of venues that have already received taxpayer dollars. We've put taxpayer dollars into so many different venues already across this county, and those should have maximum productivity and utilization. But the other part of TDT can go to doing so many great things that would support small businesses, elevate the culture of communities. Imagine putting them into main streets and into local venues to create sense of pride and community all across this county. I think there are a lot of ways in which we can can use that to the best effect of everybody in this county?
Easy question. No, they get too much money. $120 million a year to promote all the big theme parks, and they don't take care of the small businesses. They get way too much money, and you know what? They wasted $20 million, ladies and gentlemen, and they got to keep it. Who does that? If you overspend and waste money, where are you held accountable? They do get too much money, they need less money, and we need to take care of our workers and housing and first responders and transportation, and we've got to go fight for that change in Tallahassee and quit laying down and letting tourism get away with everything, ladies and gentlemen. Enough is enough, and we need to stand up and say no more. You have your part, this is your money, earn more, match it. If you want $120 million, that means you raise $120 million. They got to be accountable, just like everyone else. It's tax dollars. And I'm going to stand up, and I voted twice against him, and I look forward to having some more transparency. Someone's got to stop this madness with tourism and TDT.
All right, great question, Commissioner. So the first question is, would I diversify the TDT as it exists today? And so my first answer is no. I do believe the first 6 pennies have already been allocated for different priorities, whether it's one, to maintain the current building that we own. We are the owners of the Orange County Convention Center, the West Concourse, the South, and the North Concourse. So I believe in making sure we can continue to invest in a major economic engine in this community. It hires a lot of people that live in Pine Hill, who rely on those jobs to pay for their families. But I'm open to expanding that tax and maybe using an increased tax, and we're still one of the lowest taxes in the country when it comes to TDT. So I'm open to adding 1 or 2 pennies and allowing that to be used for additional services. I am a supporter of Visit Orlando. You can shoot me later. What I would say is this: if somebody's not marketing us, we will not be marketing ourselves. And let me tell you, cities like Atlanta, Austin, Dallas, they are marketing, competing for that business. And that is an existing industry that we have in this county. And if Visit Orlando is not marketing for us, then we've got to get the convention center to do it. So I do support that.
Everybody knows about Orlando. I think I am fully in support of a reduction in Visit Orlando's advertising funds. Everybody knows about Orlando. You can go to any other country and ask them. They'll ask you where you're from, you say Orlando. They know what you're talking about. They'll name the parks and everything. I'm also in favor of diversification. I think that we need to make a hard argument for infrastructure, proper infrastructure and beautification projects being essential for tourism. So that is feeding those funds back into the tourism industry. People don't want to come here if they can't drive here, you know?
Wow. Great questions. Give them a round of applause.
Your closing arguments as to why you should be the next Orange County Mayor. I promised that I would ask Mr. Ryan, who's a bronze sponsor, who provided our refreshments this evening from Revitalized Care of Central Florida. I told him earlier that I would give him a minute. So get your 1 minute closing while you should next be the next mayor, and I will give you a minute to say who you are.
Thank you all. Good evening, my host community. My name is Ryan Schmiel, and I'm with Revitalized Care of Central Florida. And we're at chiropractic session therapy clinic 2 streets over, right in front of Bismarck, across the Sam's Club. And we specialize in treating patients after an auto accident. You see the big billboard down West Colonial Drive, and auto accident, call me. We're going to the community to help you walk through the entire process, and that's what we're here for.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you, Ryan. You know, I did that because I didn't want everyone to be walking out. But not only that, they're new to Pine Hills and jumped right in to become a sponsor of the Pine Hills Community Council. And as you all know, we use those sponsorship dollars to make copies and survive every single year. So with that being said, I would be remiss if I didn't remind you all for July 8th, go on to our Pine Hills website, come out to our hobnob. That is how you get to hear more from your candidates, right? You're either going to be sponsors and participate in the hobnob, but you definitely want to support who you are rooting for. So, I think they deserve another round of applause for you.
audience, right? And they're passionate. So that being said, which direction y'all think I should start from? There? Oh, listen, they pointed down there. So I'm going to start with you, Chris Casino. It wasn't me. It was your audience. And this is a closing argument because, as you all know, we're an Orange County property, and we have to be out by 8 on or before. Thank you. And thanks again for being here. Thanks for accepting the invitation, and we appreciate it.
Sandra, can they get 2 minutes to close?
Who was that?
Commissioner Scott, can they get 2 minutes instead of 1 minute? 1 minute is hard. You can give them 2 minutes to close.
Give it okay. Oh, okay. Everyone agree? 2 minutes? Listen, as long as y'all don't put us out.
I'm going to talk to him.
Okay? All right. Thank you so much.
Hey, 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. You do it we went from 1 minute to 2 minutes, now 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, these are the commissioners all over the building and the leaders here. So.
Well, Sandra, I won't take more than 5. I'm just kidding. Thank you, citizens of Pine Hills, for sharing your concerns. I really appreciated the questions. They were very thoughtful and reflective. If you think things could be better here, vote for change. If you'd like to see relief from the forced conversions of your septic systems to ATUs, if you'd like to be on a bus that takes you a half hour with using electronic technology versus 2 hours to get to your job, if you'd like to see abandoned strip malls along our major roads converted to affordable housing, if you'd like to see the Space Force Academy in Orange County along with its $1 billion in annual revenue, if you'd like to see subsidized trade school education for our youth, then vote for change. Vote for Chris Messina, me, August 18th, and please, if you want to support me, you can go to my website, chrismessina.com. Thank you, and God bless you and your families.
Well, I've hardly met a politician who can be brief, but let me try to do so. I really appreciated the conversation we had tonight and the lively answers from the panel as well as from the audience. Let me just say one thing. You know, I think if I stand for anything, it's that I don't think a child's future should be determined by the zip code that they're born into. As I shared with you all, I grew up in a trailer park in a family where my parents worked multiple jobs just to afford rent and childcare and groceries. So when we talk about attainable housing and affordable childcare and strong after-school programs and safer neighborhoods, these aren't just policies on paper. I've lived what it looks like when these things are out of reach for working families. But I also know what's possible when a community does succeed and gets it right. My public school teachers invested in me, and because of that, I had a successful career in business and in national security and serving the community in Congress. And that's why I'm running for Orange County Mayor. My lived experience gives me the motivation and a sense of urgency to address these issues, and my professional experience gives me the ability to deliver results. And I want to make sure that every family in Pine Hills and across Orange County has a real shot at stability, security, and opportunity. And I hope to earn your support. I hope this is the beginning of a conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for the opportunity to meet you all and talk to you. Many I know. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a journey of faith that I've been on. When I was elected in 2018, I worked very hard and I believed in people. No one gave me a shot. I was in a 6-way race and they said, "You'll never win. Here's a lady with a small baby." But what they didn't realize was my journey there. I almost died giving birth to my son. And God made both of us survive, and there was a passion and there was a reason to serve. Every day I wake up with a servant's heart. I believe in this community. I believe in it for you. I believe in it for my children. And I believe it because I'm an example of this community. And I have always trusted you all. That's why we're here to serve. And we've swayed from that. I've had 7 amazing years as a commissioner, elected by my community over and over and over again, because I want to serve you. And it's time that we put people first. I want to champion for you. I want to fight for you. We need good jobs. We need that an entrepreneur to be successful. We need housing that works, and we need a transportation that works for all. Not just one, but all. And I will ask you to join us, to get involved in this trail as we go forward to become the next mayor. I've served 7 years. I'm ready on day one. There's no one who's ready on day one. On my flyers, I have my personal email. It's an AOL with 2000. So you know I've had it for a long time. And it's my personal cell number. And every literature that I've ever done has been my personal cell number. And I've had that number since 1998. I've only been married to my husband since 2002. So I'm more committed to my number than my husband. But it's about accessibility. You will be able to reach me. If you reach me on social media, you know we're together. We champion like we did for Jamaica. We champion for every community that needs it. And I'm going to be your voice on the county commission. And I will wake up every day thinking of you. And that is my commitment as the next mayor of Orange County. We'll be ready on day one, and we're going to work together, and we can do it.
First, I'd like to thank the Pine Hills Council for hosting this forum and for each and every one of you for coming out tonight on a Tuesday night. You worked all day and you stayed until the end. So let me say thank you to you for listening to us and ask me some great questions today. As you've heard about affordability, you've heard about housing, you've heard about transportation. I want to close with this. I am the candidate in this race who brings both policy and the professional experience to move us and set a vision for our county. We're gonna need a strong mayor that can set a vision, that can set goals and strategies, and can deliver on those strategies and those goals. As your Orange County Clerk of Court, I run a $40 million organization with over 400 employees who are answering to me. And also as a clerk for 2 years, I served as the budget chair for our statewide association, managing $500 million, making sure that all 67 clerks are funded appropriately. That's the experience that I will bring as your next Orange County mayor. We are facing some very challenging times. We don't know if the legislature's going to eliminate property taxes. We don't know what's going to happen because they have to go back 2 more times to Tallahassee. We're going to need a mayor who is a strong leader, who has proven to you they can get the job done. And so I ask for your vote on August the 18th. If you want more information, visit my website at tiffanyformayor.com. I need volunteers to help me knock on doors, to call voters, and I'm not ashamed to ask. I also need donations. And so I ask for your support today for Tiffany Moore Russell for Orange County Mayor. Thank you all so much again.
The struggle for donations is real, folks, and I'm in the same boat. I'm actually trying to qualify by paying the fee because I have the job that I gotta go to every day. I don't have the time or the infrastructure to get the petitions in. So visit my site, read it. If you like what I'm saying, please donate $5. That's all it really takes. But I'm just a regular guy with a regular job, and I think that I'm in a unique position to really feel that struggle. Since I started campaigning here, I haven't had the time that I was hoping to dedicate to this, going to all of the communities, going face to face with all of you at your actual homes, going door to door, because my family has encountered just a rash of terrible personal issues. And that's something that we all experience. I'm not in a unique position, and I'm doing what I can. Speaking of which, if you are registered NDA or Democratic, you probably have an email in your spam folder because I had to learn how to warm a mailbox without paying somebody for it. So check there for me, please, and respond to it. Let me know what you think of my policies in there. It'll help me out greatly. Thank you all so much. And thank you so much, Pine Hills Community Council, for having me today. I am so glad that you're willing to hear me.
Great job, bro. Great job, Randy. Come on, Randy. Good job.
This is absolutely a memorable 50th anniversary celebration. Thank you all for coming out. Audience, give yourselves a round of applause. Dr. Nichols, Janae, thank you all for timekeeping. Thank you all, board of directors of the Pine Hills Community Council. Thank you all so much for coming out. Greatly appreciate having each and every one of you and candidates, all of them.